But again, I digress. So Jonathan is saying, I will die with scars of the CHIBOK girls. Yeah, I mean, that's it. That was the biggest blunder of your presidency. Not being able to term Boko Haram. And again, I'm seeing Obasanjo also granting interview everywhere, talking about how his third time didn't go, that he had nothing to do with it, blah, blah, blah. But let's look at what Jonathan has to say.
Thank you so much. I will not go through a lengthy protocol because of the time, but there are some few people that we need to recognize. Let me sincerely appreciate our president being represented by the Minister of Defense. Let me appreciate the chairman of this occasion, our daddy, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo. Let me also appreciate the person who brought us here and the wife, General Irabo. Thank you for gathering us to celebrate this book. The keynote speaker, let us appreciate the former NSA.
We keep appreciating
members of the National Scene, to the chairman for listening to the book reviewer who listened to the former NSA. So I don't really have with military. After leaving office, when I was in office, I thought that the military services don't play unnecessary politics. Well, we know there's politics everywhere, but they play the politics of within the army, not the kind of politics we play. But after leaving office, I realized that quite a number of professionals in the security services play dirty politics.
He realized everything after leaving office. Dude was there for 6 years. I remember then they were marching for him to become the interim president or the acting president when Yaradua was on his way out. Dude realized that the politicians were bad after leaving office. Dude realized that the military were playing partisan politics in Nigeria after leaving office. Dude realized that Emefiele is a fraud after leaving office. Dude realized that Alison Madueke was a corrupt, evil woman after leaving office. Dude realized that Patient Jonathan was the one ruling all this while after leaving office. Wasted 6 years. Wasted 6 years of Nigeria. And it was like, oh, people didn't like him. Oh, people were too harsh on him. People didn't. What is happening in Jonathan? Things were good. Things were good in Jonathan because you don't understand how economic works. Whatever we're suffering right now, I will tell you that the foundation was laid during the Jonathan tenure. He got 63 billion in foreign reserves. 63 effing billion. That was given to him by Obasanjo. He had the best crude oil price on an average during his tenure. Remember, we were already living the, the global crisis that happened in 2008. So demands were started going up again. You know, petroleum price was starting to go up again. So he had a very, very good average price, $100 per barrel under his tenure. So he had a robust reserve given to him. He had the highest petroleum price given to him. And by the time he left, it took it from 60-something billion, it took it to around 30-something billion. And you had massive corruption. The likes at which the country never saw. So they perfected the subsidy scam, the foreign exchange scam under this guy. Now, when Buhari came, unfortunately, he also didn't understand what was happening. For 30 years, you know, the guy left. President, when he left as head of state, he came back and there was no improvement. I would even say it was worse. So Buhari came back and the arsenal of corruption was already grounded and he didn't even know what he was doing. So we spent another 8 years. 8 years, another 8 years, just going down. Going down as a country. And then TINUBU came and somebody saying that he should have removed subsidy. Things are now expensive. Bro, things was expensive. It was just being suppressed. There's no way you suppress an ailment. If you don't take care of it, at the end of the day, it's going to get worsened. So that was what really happened. So he realized politics everywhere. Maybe you should have realized it while in office, or maybe before you got to office, not after. Because after you realized it, there was nothing you could have done. You were already out. And that was the problem we had with you. The only thing I enjoyed during Goodluck Jonathan's presidency was Patience Jonathan. You will laugh. You will laugh.
But General Rabo is one person that does not get into that. White is white, black is black. Thank you, you're a gift to this country. And the title of the book is quite interesting. Scars and the Boko Haram Conundrum. It is interesting because, when I was in office, and one of the major scars on my government, and it would be on my face, and like Bishop Cook has said, no plastic or cosmetic surgeon can remove it, is the issue of the CHIBOK girls. Right. It's a scar that I will die with. But later on, people may know a little more details. And that's also to do with the Boko Haram. What do they really want? Of course, our chairman raised the issue when interviewed some of them, and they gave him some perspective. But probably one day, I pray that some of the Boko Haram leaders may be literate enough to document what they have done, so that people will really know what they wanted. Because it's like the story of the Nigerian Civil War. If you read one of the books, My Command, I think it's one of the first books that came out from President Obasanjo, because he was there. Then Ojukwu wrote his own, Because I Am Involved. So when those who were involved in something say it, you get a different perspective. If you go through a research, interview a lot of people, yes, you'll get part of the story, but you will never get the full story of the Boko Haram. Because I was there. The Boko Haram started 2009 when I was the vice president to late Yaradua. Of course, I took over 2010 for 5 years, battling with the Boko Haram until I left. I thought that immediately I leave, within a reasonable time, late General Buhari was going to wipe them out, but till today, the Boko Haram is still there. So the issue of Boko Haram is a little more complex than sometimes we can conjecture. In 1999, when Obasanjo became a president, we know we had some issues in the Southwest. But government was able to bring it down because there was a clear focus, there was clear reason, and government was able to. Then we had issues in the Niger Delta. And when I became the vice president, one of the major things I did was to visit the most dangerous camp of the militants in the Niger Delta. I remember when we flew down to Warri, by the time we get to the waterfront to take boats to that camp, they sent information to us that anybody following me must not carry a weapon. My ADC, my CSO, that nobody should carry a weapon. In fact, the Commissioner of Police of Delta State said, Vice President, no, you will not go there. The State Director of SSS to say, no, I will not go. I told them I will go. So even my officers, my ADC, my CSO, and so on, they handed over their guns to the CP and the SDS of Delta State, and none of them carried weapon. When we landed at the camp, these boys lined up one this way, one road this way, with their assault rifles, just facing the bush, not even looking at my direction as if there was nothing happening. We passed through them, We had a meeting with their leaders and so on. We had spent almost 1 hour there. When we came back, that was the beginning of solving the the Niger Delta crisis. And we're able to get through. At least now there's a reasonable pace in the Niger Delta.
Okay.
If you like Bishop Kuka mentioned, the 82 and 83, when we have the Maitasinde religious crisis in this country. From research, the Maitasinde religious crisis, when some of them were arrested and analyzed and interviewed, they came from parts of the Sahel area within Nigeria and outside Nigeria, where we had major drought within that period. And the reader pest disease that wiped out so many cattle. And so many young people from these areas migrated to the cities, Maiduguri and others, and they had no skills and nothing to do. And they were able to be recruited and cause havoc. Luckily, it was a military government then. So when the military...
What does it mean, luckily, was a military government then? When you're the president of Nigeria, you are the effing commander-in-chief of the armed forces. And when it comes to insurgency, fortunately, the Constitution, you have the power to execute whatever strategy you need to execute. That is the soldiers, not the police now, the soldiers, they answer to your command as the president, not the other way around. So the fact that you're telling me that luckily the military government, which we know destroyed our country, averagely, most of them, almost all of them were retarded. Almost all of them destroyed the country, Nigeria. That's why we're where we are today. Almost all of them, name them, I'll tell you. Most of the military leaders were evil. So when you're using the word luckily you had a military leader, and that was why there was no insurgent. So are you suggesting that for us to solve all the security problems in Nigeria, we should go back to the military regime that actually brought us into this level of dysfunction that has made insecurity fester? See what I'm saying? Again, I don't care. Like, when it comes to terrorism, you can't be playing soft. There might be issues with maybe extrajudicial killings, which you have to be careful and try to minimize it, but you have to be on offense and cover all your bases. What we've spent on security for the past few years is staggering, and nothing to show for it.
Military intervened, they were able to bring it down because there was a clear reason. A reason of young people who were looking for survival, but they had no skills, and so on and so forth. So if you put all these things together, you begin to say, this Boko Haram, why is it that from 2009 till date, we've not been able to resolve the crisis of Boko Haram? So just like Bishop Kuka tried to raise some fundamental issues. Yes, we need to approach it differently.
Okay.
The issue of carrots and the stick may be adopted. And yes, probably they need something. But if you look at the... My guy, if you wake up in the morning and all your aim is to go and blow up somewhere or to go and kill people, there's nothing like carrot and stick. Oh, they recruited them because they didn't have a job and all of that. Okay. You cannot make the life of those that are law-abiding to be your own guinea pig for insecurity. So again, I don't care. Like, carrot and stick, maybe it will work in some other climes, but if you're going out and you're going to kill people, burn villages at night, and roast people alive, sorry, there's no carrots there. If you kill people in the name of terrorism, you're gone. And I believe in all this kind, and that's why some people try to bring up the case that Obi has in Anambra with respect to the killings and all of those. Till tomorrow, except there are real stuffs that says that Obi went against the rule of the day or against the law, and those people were not really involved in terrorizing the community, then I'm going to say, okay, fine, Obi's wrong. People try to use that to make Obi look bad. I mean, I'm not an Obi supporter, but you cannot be creating havoc and killing people at random and bombing up places
And then you're saying that, oh, it's now time to have a negotiation. I mean, these people are, those days in during 2011, 2012, you see the e-logs they use? Most of the banks don't even use that kind of e-logs. Do you see the artilleries, the tankers, the machine guns? That's not charlatans. Those are not people that are looking for job. The problem is this: if you don't go after the leaders, and that's where the problem is, the most populous leaders, the politicians, the kingpins, those are the people that you need to actually fight, take the fight to. Not just the guy that does not know how to eat, that does not have what to eat, that is being recruited. I mean, if they are being caught in exchange, in fire exchange, who is to blame? But you cannot. One person's life that is law abiding should not be used as a sacrifice because you want to appease some group of people that kills indiscriminately. That has turned a lot of locations in the north to IDP centers. So again, I don't believe in the carrot and stick for terrorism. Maybe carrot and stick for thugs, for people sleeping under the bridge, for people stealing phones. But when you're killing people in the name of extremism, there's nothing like carrots.
Weapons they use, and you value the weapons, then you know that these are not hungry people. So the soldiers that sometimes capture some of the weapons will see better. But the weapons they use, the ammunitions they use, sometimes they even have more ammunitions than our soldiers.
What the hell? Why are you telling us that information? Why would they have more weapons? And you can trace all these weapons. Can you imagine? This is the former president of Nigeria saying that Boko Haram has more better weapons, which is true. But shouldn't that be said in shame? Shouldn't that be said in a failure for even agreeing that effing Boko Haram, people will say they're hungry, that want to do carrot and stick, they have a better ammunition than our military. And you came out to say that out loud. And you knew then. And then the reason was that they said U.S. would not sell weapons. To hell with U.S., I'm going to get a weapon anyways. There are ways to get weapons that is better than Boko Haram weapons. You don't need to go to the U.S. Even if U.S. put a sanction on Nigeria to say you're not going to get weapons, there are ways to get weapons. There are ways to get way, way, way better weapons. But because the politicians, the kingpins, are complicit, and you don't have the balls to say, you know what, one person will not be killed in the north. You have to go through me. That's why we have all this. That's why we have all this.
So it doesn't show that they're hungry people. And where are these guns, sophisticated weapons coming from?
No, you are the president. We should be asking you, bro. We should be asking you, where are the guns coming from? You're going to tell us where the guns are coming from. I'm not the one. I mean, I don't hold any political power. I don't even have money to say I want to do some deep level investigation. You shouldn't be saying this, Jonathan. After 6 years as the Grand Commander in Chief of the Armed Forces of Nigeria, you have the Navy under you, you have the Air Force under you, you have the military under you, you have the police under you. And now we have the Guguru Defense. Bro, this is the president. Oh my God. This is the ex-president talking. Where is the weapon coming from?
And you begin to see that
maybe it came from 4chan or from the dark web.
The external hands are also involved.
To hell with the external hands. To hell with the external hands. You know what they do? They size you up. They size you up. Once they see that you don't really know what you're doing, and once they see that you're not tough enough, then they strike. That was why when Buhari came into power, before Buhari came into power, Boko Haram activities started dwindling. So they had, decided that they're going to push back all those terrorists. Few months to election. just to give Jonathan a good name and buy him some more grace. So what they did was they decided to push, I think, from 22 local governments to less than, double digits. And I was like, why would you literally, before the 2015 election, be able to push these terrorists back from almost 22 local governments to less than 10? Why did you do it years before the elections? Okay, that was the first thing I felt like, this doesn't make sense. Then that left. Then Buhari came in. And Buhari went out on them for a while. Then all of a sudden, Baba was sick. And then Baba lose guard. And now we have all this Pinta group all around the place.
Especially when I was a president. So it's a bit complex. And it's not a matter of a single story. But I believe as a nation, we have to look at the concept of Boko Haram and approach it differently from the conventional approach. I believe one day we'll get over it.
It's 2025. One day. We go better one day in our poor man's prayer. So that means it's quite painful, to be honest with you. To be honest with you, it's quite painful and it's underwhelming. That in 2025, we're talking about a group of terrorists. And people are like, oh, you're not there. Yeah, why are you talking about? Okay. Let me freaking tell you, if you want to solve terrorism, I have the formulas. I have what it takes if you want to solve terrorism in Nigeria. And it's not me. Do you know that around that period when Boko Haram was also Boko Haram came before ISIS? Boko Haram came before ISIS. Where is ISIS today? Where's Al-Qaeda today? They've been decimated. ISIS is not like, ISIS still exists, though, don't get me wrong. But you can't see them trying to say, then that idiot will sit down. And then you have representative from the federal government negotiating with terrorists. And those guys will sit down like they're in charge. In a country where it's ruled by borderlines and constitution, that's not how you solve terrorism. You eat them hard. You don't understand? Like, you're telling me now, like, ISIS is still there, but really, they're as useless as it comes. Why? Because they went after them with weapons. They went after their financial sources. Anybody related to ISIS, they neutralize you. They eat them. Eat them from the front, right, center. That was how. Let me play that for you. Just give me 1 minute. Let me see if I can get that record for you. How we were able to destroy ISIS. And I said we, not me, but, Donald Trump was able to destroy ISIS. I'll tell you, he gave the story. I have it here in my search stuff. Let's talk about this guy. Okay, let's see. Yeah, let me see this one.
Day off. I flew to a lovely place called Iraq. And I flew at night, and I got there at night, and I said to myself, this is interesting, because they say, sir, all of the lights in the plane, sir, are going off. I say, why? Because we're getting ready to land. We're an hour out. I said, what about the shades? Well, we want it better than that. Maybe light gets through. So we turned the lights off, put the shades down. This is a big 740 Air Force One. And we're landing, and I go up and I look. And I've landed. I like to sit with pilots. I respect people that know what they're doing. And these are the best in the world. I really do. These are the best in the world. And the pilot says, sir, we're landing in approximately 1.5 minutes. I say, but there's no runway. No, sir, the runway's right up there, sir. I say, I don't see it. I have pretty good vision. At least for my age, I have good vision. I guess for my age, I have great vision, but I don't have vision like a 35-year-old captain. He said, no, it's right up there. I said, I'm sorry, Captain. How about this? Should we lift off and try to get Captain? There's no runway. Anyway, no, he said right up there. And we land. There's practically no lights. These are little pin spots. And I said, think of this. We spent $7 trillion in the Middle East.
Okay, $7 trillion, not naira, to fight Middle Eastern stuff. You may not like the decision, you may not like the war, I don't like the war and all of that. They spent so much money, no results. That's what's happening in Nigeria. We spend and spend. Oh, the new budget for stuff is so trillion naira. Nothing to show for it. You're spending all those monies when there is no leadership. You're just going to be pouring money into the problem, thinking that more money will give you more security. No, it doesn't work that way. What you need is leadership.
And we can't land a plane with the lights on. 20 years later, how bad is that? Now, seriously, how bad is it? How bad is it? $7 trillion and we have to fly in with no lights. But I met some incredible people. Generals. One of them came from Syria, the operation in Syria. And I was upset with my generals because they weren't getting it finished. I want the job done. I want to bring our people back home.
Until TINUBU is upset with the generals, until TINUBU is upset with all of those guys in charge of security in Nigeria, we're going to be having all these problems. Until TINUBU is upset with someone going to church again on a Sunday morning and not even sure if they're going to get back home. Or people sleeping in villages and then you just have their lives cut short. And then you have so much, obituaries. So much corpses out there. You're not going to have any solution on insecurity. So that was it. Number one, what did this guy do? And this is the pathway. This is how you solve insecurity. He flew to where the insurgency was. At that time, it was ISIS. So Trump left Washington, went to where they were battling ISIS. When has TINUBU carried his plane and saying, I'm going to Borno? Or when has he carried his plane to say, I'm going to Kwara State or Kyoto? No, seriously. And that's why I'm saying I give TINUBU a 0 when it comes to security. When did TINUBU say, oh, what happened in Okyodo where people are leaving the village? I don't care if it's a village or if it's an economic center. Where? When did he carry his plane and say, I'm going to the southeast? And I'm not going to the southeast to go and commission one bridge where people cannot use. What I'm saying, I'm going to the southeast. I'm going to those areas where they're saying that this is the hotbed of insurgency in the southeast. When? Because I don't have any record of that. If there was one, it was going to Benue. I don't even know what happened. The guy had to turn back because there was flood. And the roads were bad. Maybe not his fault. It's fault of all the successive years of military regime and PDP and APC's party ruling.
It's not fair. And this is why I flew. So I met generals I didn't know. General 1, General 2, General 3. I mean, these generals, there's no person in Hollywood that could play the role. These guys are like perfect people. I said, what's your name? Sir, my name is Raisin. What the hell kind of a name? I said, Raisin, like the fruit? He goes, yes, sir, Raisin. What's your last name? Kane, Raisin Kane. I said, you gotta be kidding. It's true. Raisin Kane, I just made him a big star. Just like I did with Mattis when I said, we're gonna give you a new nickname, because Chaos is not a good nickname. So we changed his name. Called him Mad Dog. Mad Dog wasn't working too well, so what happened is I flew to Iraq. I wanted to meet the people on the site, because I learned
you've got to meet the people on the site of all of this insurgency. You've got to go. You've got to go. You've got to go. You cannot just say, oh, they're trying to work hard and all that. Seriously? Number one, life of soldiers are being wasted. Each day there is lack of decision-making, lack of leadership. People are being decimated. And I really applaud the foot soldiers of the Nigerian military. There is no crazier job that you can be in Nigeria today than for you to be serving as an army officer, battling insurgency in some of these places, in the north, in the southeast, in the creek, and all of those. But the reason why we lose a lot of them is because there's lack of leadership. There's lack of leadership. Like, how do you even expect that people go, to fight? During Jonathan's time, and we're still going to go back for him to finish his speech, the cry was that we had people in the military saying that they just left. They just left their weapons because they couldn't even withstand the firepower that was coming out of these Boko Haram guys. And you're telling me that these are people that are hungry. What the hell? They're not hungry. These are trained terrorists that have taken over the shores of the country. Soldiers were given weapons that could not even fire during those Jonathan years. And then they said a U.S. placed an embargo on weapons. To hell with U.S. If I'm the president and I have terrorism under me and I cannot do that, then is that how you get out of the kitchen? Or you talk to those people financing that and say, it's between me and you. Is that how I go? But this thing can never happen. Not one more person. Not one more person. We keep spending trillions and security keeps getting worse. Okay, so how did Trump solve the ISIS question? Because that's where we're coming from. Don't lose focus. How did he solve the Al-Qaeda and the ISIS question? Because they were already taking part of Syria, Iran. Turkey was being threatened at the time that he had to use the courts. So how did Trump destroy ISIS within a very few short months that Obama had created? Obama, I told you yesterday that Obama was one of the worst presidents you could ever have in the United States. Because the guy did nothing for the blacks, did nothing for the whites, except for all those single-sex, same-sex married people. Those were Obama's heroes.
More sometimes from soldiers, what's going on, than I do from generals. I do. I hate to say it. I tell that to the generals. What's going on, than I do from generals.
See what he said there?
People on the site. Because I learn more sometimes from soldiers, what's going on, than I do from generals.
Can you imagine? He learns more from those on the site. If you want to know how to solve Boko Haram's problem today, it's not one chief of army staff in Abuja that will tell you how to solve that problem. No. He's a guy that does not know if he's going to go back to his family tomorrow. He's a guy that does not know if he's going to go back to his children tomorrow, risking his life. That's a guy that should be in the room when they're formulating policies on how to tackle insecurity based on what he's facing in the field. Because that's the best way you could have the best feedback loop is by you confronting those that are facing the danger.
I do. I hate to say it. I tell that to the generals all the time. But I didn't have to go there. I didn't have to go there because I landed this airport, the most incredible thing. We must have spent $3 billion building it. It's one of the reasons I don't want to leave Iraq so fast. I said, well, how do we leave this thing? So I have Raising Cane, 3 other generals, colonels, sergeants, and I said, bring the cameras, I'm going to make a movie. This is the most incredible thing. And I said to the generals, listen, we got to get out. I want to know, why is it going to take 2 years to knock off 2 or 3 or 4%, which is what we had left? It won't, sir. I said, tell me why it won't. It won't, sir. If we attack them in a different manner, we can do it much faster. Okay, General Raising Cane, how fast can... Sir, we can have it totally finished in 1 week. I said, 1 week? I was told 2 years.
See that? In Washington, they were telling Trump it's going to take you 2 years to destroy all these insurgencies. On the battlefield, the guy in charge said it's going to take 1 week. So, see the difference, see the disconnect? Why? Because the guy in Washington, they need to be bringing supplies to the military. There's a company in charge of that. There's a company in charge of weapon delivery. There's a company in charge of media. They have to fly logistics. There are people benefiting from that insurgency. The reason why you don't have security solved in Nigeria today is because there are people that are benefiting from insecurity in Nigeria. There was an account of what happened in Kwara State just a few days ago. Live account, those on the ground, not verified. But this is what they said. During the interview, he said that the soldiers came to them, to the vigilantes, collected their weapons, and told them that they wanted to go service them. Because they'll tell you, vigilante, you have to walk with the soldiers. They took their weapon away, and they said they saw like helicopter patrolling, and they saw people dropping from the helicopter, and they started opening fire. That was the record on the ground. Okay, if you say, oh, it's a lie, it's fake news, how come they took their weapon? Again, why would you take the old weapon of everybody? That's some of the stupidity that we are made to live with in Nigeria. So they told Trump it's going to take 2 years. The person on the field fighting the terror said it's going to take 1 week.
1 week. That's right, sir. We're only hitting them from a temporary base in Syria. But if you gave us permission, we could hit them from the back, from the side, from all over, from the base that you're right on right now, sir. They won't know what the hell hit them. They won't know what the hell hit them, sir. And I said, why didn't my other generals tell me that?
I'm not going to tell you. Tell you the problem that is happening. They're not, because they're benefiting, there are contractors benefiting from the insurgency happening all over the country. There are politicians benefiting from Boko Haram, from all of this whatever in the southeast. Do you think it's the person that is hungry, that doesn't know how to eat, is the one that is causing all this insecurity problem in Nigeria? No. No. It's the guys that are benefiting from the supplies, either from the military side through budgeting, increasing the budget because they've increased their budget in multiple folds since insurgency started, or the other people try to have an ulterior motive or an ideology to Islamize or to also dominate certain parts of the country. Insurgency, and that was what someone said, Abacha said that if insurgency lasts for more than 3 days, then the government is involved. So we gotta know who is involved here as we speak.
Why didn't they tell me that?
They won't tell
I said,
you.
did you tell them that? Not our place to say it, sir. They come in from Washington, sir. We have to take orders.
That's it. So if they tell you, you know, one of the things that happened also in Kwara State, before I forget, was that they told the soldiers, they said they're not going to do anything, that they don't have the order. They don't tell you. And again, that's it. That's the way they're trained. Even if you are going to your death and the soldier says fire on, you have to fire on. If the command says fire on, but if they say withdraw, you have to withdraw. So anything may be happening, they say we don't have the orders to protect you. I'm sorry. And then you have these guys laughing with police, soldiers, and you know.
You're the first one to ask us our opinion.
Can you imagine that?
True. It's true. True.
Okay. So, long story short, he went back to Washington. And when he got to Washington, he gave those orders. That was why ISIS, fell so fast that Britain was like, oh, we don't know. We don't want to take our terrorists back because people had left the United Kingdom to go and join ISIS. People have left all over the world. It was so fast that even the United UK politicians said, no, we can't take our citizens back. And they said, oh, okay. Trump said, come and take everybody, come and take your citizens. ISIS is falling. ISIS is falling. I'm telling you. So when Jonathan in 2025 is now giving an account of what happened to the CHIBOK girls, to insecurity, when he was the president, and saying that, I don't know, maybe one day we're going to solve that problem, I feel so sad.
So once again, let me thank you, General Irabo, for this, because I always appreciate people who clearly document events, so that maybe sometimes when we write our own, we'll borrow from your documentation. And I believe that all the military officers who were involved in this Boko Haram saga should be able to give us information about what the Boko Haram stood for.
You should be able to give us information because they prospered under your reign. Can you see the disconnect? And again, that's why I don't understand why people are saying that I'm seeing stuff, Jonathan 2027. Like, people don't understand. Jonathan 2027? What the hell? Like, see, I don't even know what to say. Let me just finish this video.
If it is only about hunger, because we tried different options, I don't need to give a sermon. It will look as if I am trying to defend my own government. That will come up later when we will document, we'll write our books. But I believe we took different options, we set different committees. We tried our best within that 5 years that I was there. I believe late Buhari too must have tried his best because one of the committees we set up then, the Boko Haram nominated Buhari to lead their team to negotiate with government. So I was feeling that, if they nominated Buhari to represent them and have a discussions with the government committee, then when Buhari took over, could have been an easy way to negotiate with them and they would have handed over their guns, but it was still there till today.
Fair enough.
I believe the government, luckily the defense minister is here. The service chiefs all are represented here. I think we will need a slightly different approach, and God willing, we will be able to resolve this crisis. I thank you all.
Okay. Okay, so that's it. Unfortunately, Boko Haram or insurgency crisis has not been. I mean, the military, they're trying. I'm talking about those on the field, those fighting, not those making decision in Abuja. And that's it. Again, let's listen to Obasanjo's account. Because Obasanjo gave us Jonathan, right? He gave us Jonathan. He gave us Jonathan, gave us Yaradua. Let's listen to his own. So the theme of this is that Boko Haram virtually is becoming part of Nigerian life. And it's so sad. I still remember the first time we had that bomb incident. The first time. And it was Abuja. It was actually Abuja. I think it was TUC that was bombed. I think around 2009. And I was like, what? I thought it was just one-off. Then it became like an every other day thing. And then it was like spreading across local government with their ELOCs, with their machine guns, with their tankers and all that. It's crazy.
The author and the celebrant. Your Excellencies, Your Eminence, you hold.
I'm gonna skip some of this.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me start by giving rules for this occasion. Except those that I will mention now who are on the program, the keynote remark maker, the book reviewer, the author, and the remark of the special guest of honor. Those are 4. And then, of course, the remark of the president that we finished.
I need to
Except
fast.
those,
I need to. This a lot of stories here. Let me move
then
forward.
you will be switched off. And I don't think you will want to have that. Now, we will leave here not a minute later than 1. When General Rabo asked me to write the foreword to his book, I was extremely pleased. And I did not lose time at all to do it. And as I said, partly in my foreword, this is the first time we are getting an insider, an eyewitness person to say it as he sees it, he satisfies them.
I'm not getting anything from this video. I just gonna move. Anyways, what it's trying to say is that Boko Haram virtually is becoming part of Nigerian life. Again, in a country that things are working, when you have people like this, that have ruled before and all that, I believe that during the time when you had that insurgency, Obasanjo could have helped Jonathan, but Jonathan clearly and Obasanjo, they were not in good terms. So what happened was that I just left Jonathan to tackle the thing of which he didn't even have, anything to do. So I'm gonna move on. So this guy is still in the news. I don't know. I don't know why this guy is still in the news. After